Hello, 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 hello. My name is Amit, Mann in the Sportsnet digital studios, here to catch you up on everything Canada basketball heading into Paris 2024. It's going to be so much fun. I'll be here after all the men's and women's games telling you the latest, the greatest, doing that talk to get you up to date on the team. When Shea hits a game winner to sink the U.S. in the gold medal game, I will be here. When Kia Nurse hits a three to get Canada a medal, all right, I will be here doing this right here, and it's going to be all kinds of fun. So let's get after it, all right, just so we're all aware. When it comes down to it, you got to get to the quarters, okay? You get to the quarters by finishing top two in your group. And after that, you need to be the third place team with the best point differential. You got to be one of those top two teams in that category. If you do that, then, hey, you can be in the quarterfinals. And if you look back to 2021, Tokyo, okay, Canada, the women's team, they missed out on the corners by 3 points. 3 points, right? So obviously, every single possession, game, quarter, it all matters. I am so excited for this. This is going to be so much fun. All right, so let's get to it. The men's team. Let's start right from the top there. You remember the Olympic qualifier last year. Shea was incredible. The whole team was incredible. All right, they finished bronze. They beat the U.S. And now in their group, they got Australia. They got Greece. They got Spain. So looking at those teams, obviously, Australia is a formidable team. Greece, you got Giannis and company. Spain, they're a team that Canada's already defeated. I believe they're going to be just fine against them, but hey, you never know. But that's it, right? And looking back at this team, expectations heading into this tournament, it's a podium, right? We want a podium. The expectations on their side is a podium, and rightly so. Like, they are saying no thank you to the opening ceremonies, which happened Friday, because they want to rest a little bit more for their game against Greece to open up this tournament. They want this. Expectation is podium, and I'm expecting that too, and we should be, because there are a ton of strengths with this team, and it starts right from the top with their perimeter defense and Lou Dort, Dylan Brooks, and company. Look, those guys are some of the best in the world, not in the NBA, not in FIBA. They are some of the best perimeter defenders in the world. They are that good. They're feisty. They're tenacious. Their defensive shell overall with Canada is going to be vital to their success. Keeping teams out of the paint, it's going to be crucial for them. This team wants to play defense. They want to lock up teams. They want to lock up players, and they got the personnel to do it. We'll get to some of their deficiencies, maybe on the size side of things in a moment, but tenacity, feistiness, want to, causing turnovers, getting out in transition. They want to do that. That is part of the ilk of this team. And Jordi Fernandez, he wants that. He demands that they do that. He keeps them all accountable. And from everything we gather, the team loves playing for him. And that's going to be vital, right? That's going to be so crucial to their success. Also, another thing that really is going for them is that they have players just in ideal roles, right? Obviously, you have Shea. He is a bona fide number one. But after that, you're not asking anyone to do more than what they already do with their team and with their NBA teams. And we saw that last year too. But even the guys that are now in the rotation, let's look at Andrew Nembhard, all right? Come in, play defense, be sound, but also offensively, second side drives, nail them. Your pull-up shots, your floaters, get those, get to the rim, keep the flow of the offense going, pace and space, all that fun stuff. They need Andrew to do that, and he was already doing it. He's been doing it. He showed in the playoffs how elite he is at it. And then even to Trey Lyles, who will be in the rotation, pick and pop threes, love to see it, right? When you get the opportunity, bully ball, you are capable, you can do it. And he's been scoring a lot in these exhibition games because his teammates are finding him. And fortunately for him, he's hitting his shots as well. So again, just players in ideal roles, nothing that's beyond what they're capable of. And that is a strength of this team when it comes to continuity and being able to win games in the margins, right? That's going to be vital for Canada. Their defense, their cohesion, those two things right there can get you through a bad quarter, a bad half. If you have those two things, you're able to kind of streamline things and get yourself back into a game. And when we get to the knockout stage, that is going to be something that teams will face. Another thing teams will face is, do you have a scorer? Do you have a guy? Do you have a bona fide number one player? They have that. And his name is Shea. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he is that dude. My hero, Enrique Iglesias, okay? That's what Shai does. He showed it in the playoffs this season. He showed it in the tournament last year. In that tournament, unbelievable stuff. 25 points. Yeah, I'm rounding up, but I'm going to do it. 55% from the field, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. He had 30 points in 3 of the final 4 games. I'm hoping he shoots better from 3. I think it was around 30% in the tournament. But you look at the women's team just for a moment, they don't have that person. Canada does. When their offense is getting kind of stagnant, it's getting bogged down, they can give it to Shai in some spot on the court, and he can go and do his thing. This past season in the NBA, he averaged 1.11 points per isolation attempt. That was better than Luka. That was better than Jason Tatum. That was better than Joel Embiid. That's how good he is, man. All right, he's a conductor. He's a conductor, and with his passing chops, they've really been showing, especially in FIBA last year. He really grew throughout that, and even Sam Presti, draft pick hoarder himself, okay? He even mentioned, too, that he saw how Shai's ability to pass the ball, to see double teams, to read the defense, that much quicker. It improved after FIBA last year. And I think we're going to, again, see more of that. Even in the exhibition games, he's been passing the ball really well. Those decisions are just a little bit faster, right? So you got your guy. Jordi Fernandez does a tremendous job of court mapping, of getting Shai the ball in space where he can kind of go and do his thing. And while there aren't players in his way when he wants to get into his drives, his pull-ups, all that stuff, he's going to be vital. He is going to be crucial. And we have no reason to believe he will be anything but spectacular. The questions, though. There's questions, all right? And obviously it's going to start with their size, their lack thereof. When they encounter Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic, some of the centers on Germany, all right, it's going to be a problem for them. We know this. We've already seen it. That's why, they lost the game against Brazil in the the Olympic qualifier last year, all right? It's a problem for them. They're hoping that they can collectively go around it. Obviously, I mentioned Lou Dort, Dylan Brooks. They're not afraid to get messy, to get into the rebounding, to get into the elbows, into the paint, and to get into all that mucky stuff underneath the net. Rebounding will be a problem for them. It could be at the very least. And also if they just encounter a center. Dwight Powell will do his darndest, right? Kelly Olynyk will do his darndest and so forth. But it could be a problem for them, but I think they're hoping that, hey, you run your double teams, then from there you're rotating out to shooters, you're closing out properly, then you have your other players tagging, and you just kind of have to figure it out. But they have the personnel to do so, and I think that they will be just fine if and when they encounter that situation. At least I hope. Other question, Jamal Murray, you healthy, bro? Like, you good? Because I'm not really sure if he is. The last time we saw him play basketball in a meaningful game was in the playoffs, where he was limping around and he wasn't too great, right? And if he was healthy, they probably beat the Wolves, and they may be going all the way to the NBA Finals, right? But he wasn't right. Injuries happen, and from what we've seen so far, it's still hard to tell how healthy he really is. Now, Michael Grain did report recently that during a close scrimmage, wire scrimmage is closed, I don't know why, can't get anything in there, camera, a drone, I'm joking, Canada soccer, I'm just joking. You can't get anything in there, like not one thing, but he did play into the teens apparently, and he looked good doing it. So how healthy he is does affect the ceiling of this team. If they have Shai and Jamal cooking, that is probably the best backcourt in this whole tournament. Right? That's reasonable to say when they're like that. And those non-Shai minutes, now they get a little bit more secure. And you have Jamal just doing what he does, hitting pull-up threes, hitting shots, playmaking, running the team, and everyone is going to benefit from that. Trey Lyles, I mentioned him. He's already benefited from it in the minutes alongside Jamal Murray. If he's good, Canada's much better, right? They look a lot better on all accounts, and how healthy he is, we'll have to see. Also, even defensively, like, is he going to be able to shuffle his feet and keep up with some of the other guards he's going to encounter? Is he going to be able to play that pacey defense, the feisty defense, the high-tempo defense that Jordi Fernandez wants to play? We're going to have to find out. But if you put all these things together, like Canada, they are going to be a very good team. If we're looking at teams that could beat the United States, you probably start with Canada, right? Let's look at X factors. Now, I could say Andrew Nembhard, but I feel like I know what he's going to bring. And it's all the things I mentioned earlier. I'm confident he's going to do it. But a person that I'm unsure what level we're going to get is RJ Barrett, and he is my X factor. If RJ comes in, right, and he is limiting turnovers, he's running in transition. He's finishing in the paint. He's hitting his free throws, hitting them, hitting his corner threes, because he will be given those shots as teams try to load up on Shea. If he's doing these things, man, Canada, their half-court offense looks that much better. But will he do it, right? Those pin downs coming off some of those curls. Is he getting into the paint, finishing in traffic? Is he, making those proper reads out of it, passing out of them? These are things that I'm not sure if he's going to do. Like, Dylan Brooks has been terrific on some of those second side drives. Those pull-up shots have been really effective for him, really very efficient. RJ, I'm not sure yet, right? But I want to see it. And if he is doing that, Canada is, again, that much better. Looking at predictions, okay? Just the group. I think Canada does win their group. I think they do. I think they're able to go 3-0. Spain, I mentioned earlier, they are not the same Spain from years ago. Marc Gasol and Pau Gasol and Ricky Rubio and a younger version of Rudy Fernandez is not walking through that door. Shout out Rudy, though. Very impressive. He's still playing basketball. All right, and then you look at Greece. If they stop Giannis, if they can contain him, if the shooting from Greece isn't up to par, which is quite possible, Canada's in good shape. Australia is one that I'm not so sure about, just because Australia is like, they just find a way, right? They're one of those teams that they play very feisty. If they're able to, keep games close heading into the fourth quarter, like, you don't know what's going to happen in a knockout game. But I think Canada is able to beat them as well, just because of their offensive firepower. And do they have someone to guard Shea? Not many people in the world do. All right, so that's my prediction for the men's team. I'm excited to watch them play. The next game, Canada-Greece, is going to be a lot of fun. Okay, off to the women, the women's national team. Now, when they qualified for the Olympics, like, it was in pretty surprising fashion, because they probably have no business actually making it. You go back to the February Olympic qualifier, they needed Spain to pull off a 22-point comeback in a game that they didn't have to win in order for them to make it the Olympics here. And fortunately for them, they did. And here Canada is. And, from the team that we've seen in these exhibition games, like, it's hard to know what we were going to get from them, right? We haven't seen them fully intact, and now we're seeing it, and it's better than we probably would have guessed collectively, right? We may not have seen this version of them being this good. And I think they have every reason to believe that they can make the quarters. They do. Right? It's going to be tough. Their group is not easy, right? It's a tough one for sure. You look at Canada, Nigeria. Nigeria's they're a number 12 seed, but they're very up and coming. Australia, number 3 in the world. Yes, Canada beat them in the exhibition round, but that's exhibition. We didn't see the best version of Australia. And then France, the home nation, that's where Canada is opening up the tournament. They're playing at home. Like, Canada is better than them. They have a lot more size than France, but again, they're the home nation, and it's going to be an intimidating crowd for the Canadians. So we'll have to see what happens. Like, France has medaled in 3 of the last 4 Olympics. They're no slouch. And from there, Canada has to bring their A game. And they do have things that they can rely upon. They do have strengths. And let's start right at the top with their bigs. They got a lot of players that can push some bodies around, starting with Natalie Achonwa, right? So just so you know, she will become Canada's first 4-time Olympian in women's basketball, right? Very impressive stuff. She's still playing at a high level. Then adding on to that, you got gilgeous-alexander. You have Aaliyah Edwards. You have Letitia Amiher. Skill, mobility, some vision. You got some bullying on the block. And you're going to be able to rely on them to score the ball, or at least, to continue the pace of the offense and to get to the free throw line. At least that's what we hope. And they're going to need that from them. Also, offensive rebounding, some of those chip shots, some of those easy ones. Getting to the free throw line is very, very good for Team Canada. Offensive rebounding is very, very good for Team Canada. They need them to be at the best version of themselves. But in some of those 4-out, 5-outs, we'll get to the offense in a second. Some of those actions, I love seeing them all keep it and just drive towards the paint. Right? Drive the rim, get downhill, and, again, push bodies around. Like, they're going to find ways to manufacture easy offense. And they're going to do that through a lot of their bigs. Canada, we'll get to some of the other parts of this team now, too. There are some questions and curiosities about this team and how good they're going to be able to be. But one thing I feel sort of kind of confident about is that Silas Wards and Sammy Hill they're going to continue to be the versions of themselves that we saw in exhibition. Very, very good, man. Like those two, they're tenacious, they're feisty, picking up full court, causing turnovers, causing havoc, making teams uncomfortable, making players feel like uncomfortable. They were doing that in those exhibition games, and I love that 1-2 punch. It's pretty good, right? You want that energy from your bench, and you look at that Australia game where Canada did win. It was those two, along with some other players, that turned the tide and got Canada kind of running again and energized. And I think they're going to need to keep on doing that. But they also have to be in control, and they got to limit turnovers. If their bench is turning things over, now Canada's like their half-court offense. Just like if they fall behind far, like if they're far back, if they're 15, 20 points back, they don't necessarily have the offensive punch to make that return. Yeah, like defensively, they're going to be strong. They're very athletic. They're going to need to finish in transition and seek out some of those transition points. And I'm hoping Sammy Hill and Sila do that. But shooting is going to be a problem for this team, and not just like, knocking them down. That's obviously a huge component of this, but the math problem. If Team X is making and shooting a lot more threes than you are, and you are hitting your 2-point shots, eventually that 5-point gap is going to become 15 or 20 or something like that. So Canada has to get their 3-point shots up, regardless of if they go in or not, right? That's obviously a huge part of it, of course. They got to get the shots up. And within this new offense that they're trying to implement, I think it makes sense. It's a lot of 5-out, 4-out, delay action, playing through their bigs. As I mentioned earlier, it's palpable. I like it. It makes sense for what they're trying to do on the offensive end. However, you rely upon your players to be pretty heady, pretty instinctual, pretty on the ball, right? And focus and energize, and just making sure that they're doing some of these unscripted things that happen within some of these systems, because if they're not doing that, then it gets very stagnant. If they get stagnant, then is this team, like offensive toughness is a real thing, right? Getting yourself into actions quickly, containing and like remaining poised right on the offensive end, that is a very real thing. Kia Nurse has been terrific in some of these exhibition games at doing that, at getting them focused and, all right, let's move on to the next action. Let's go on the wing. Let's set a pick and roll, DHO, whatever. She's been doing that. It's been excellent, but you know, they're going to have moments where they're going to struggle offensively, and they got to be able to knock down shots. It hasn't been terrific from three so far, but we'll see what happens. And another part of their offense is Bridget Carleton. So I mentioned Shea earlier, bonafide number one, that dude. Bridget, she's got potential, right, to be some version of that, but like she's not the scorer that Shea is, and that's okay. But this is a huge opportunity for her to show what she's capable of in isolation and some of these possessions, late shot clock, they need her to get a bucket, opportunity for her to show up, right? They don't have too many people that can do that. They don't have too many people that can get downhill at will. And Kia Nurse, some of her best years are probably behind her. Still a great defender, great shooter, right? But those knees, sometimes I don't know if she has the mobility that we're hoping for, and I'm not sure how healthy she is, but she wasn't going to miss this. I don't blame her, right? She's terrific. She's been a great Canadian for many Olympics now, I believe 3. But for Bridget, how consistently is she able to create offense for herself, for her teammates at a doubles? Is she making the right read? Is she probing? Is she manipulating the defense? Some of those actions, the DHOs with Leah Edwards, I think of some of them where, Leah does a great job of getting the ball right to Bridget. The defense is shifted and she steps into a mid-range pull-up and she misses it. She has to make those for Team Canada, right? They really, really need her to make them. And will she do it? We'll have to see, all right? But going into X Factors, it's Sila Swartz. So if you guys don't know too much about her, 18 years old, okay? She will be playing a game in the Olympics before she ever plays a game in college. She's a 5-star recruit. She's heading to Michigan, and it is very fun watching her play defense. Like I mentioned earlier, the 1-2 punch with Sammy Hill. All right, she is tenacious. She moves her feet really well. She gets in the mud of things. She's not afraid to muck it up. There will be points where, 2 minutes left, 1 possession. They check her in. Victor will check her in just to defend 1 possession, right? Because she's that good one-on-one. She was causing issues for several players on Australia, on Spain as well, right, in those exhibition games. She's very, very good. She is the future face, probably, of Team Canada going forward. And Can she, continue to show that she's capable of being like a productive player at this stage? 18 years old, and she's this good, very impressive, but she has the potential to have a huge impact on this tournament, especially for Canada. Predictions. This is tougher. This is tougher than the men's team. I'm going to say they make the quarters. I think they finish second in their group. I think Australia, like I mentioned earlier, I just think they have more depth, and we didn't see their best version. But Canada will be able to keep it close. They got to get that game against France. They really need that first game against France. Yes, they're the home team. Yes, it's going to be an intimidating atmosphere, but you're a better team, right? They are much bigger than France. And some of the bigs that I mentioned, right, they should be able to get to the free throw line, offensive rebound, and create some easy points for Canada. Defensively, they have to be strong, of course, but they got to get that game against France. I really think so. And then Nigeria, it's a game where you got to take care of business. I don't doubt that Nigeria is going to put up a huge fight. That's what they do. They're probably going to be very athletic. They're going to be very strong. They're going to keep on coming. They got to win that game against France. They got to beat Nigeria, and then they're going to be in good shape to finish top 2 in their group, which would be terrific. All right, the women's 3x3. Let's touch on them very briefly. Michelle and Catherine Plouffe. You got Paige Crozen and Casey Bosch. So they finished 5-1 at the Olympic qualifier. For years now, they have been very good on the international stage, right? They are serious. Like, if we're looking at which of these three have the best chance to win a medal, it's probably them. They finished third in their Olympic qualifier. They got the bronze medal, and I think that they're poised to probably put up a good fight and to be really good in this tournament. They got the chemistry, they got the want to. I love their spirit. They're extremely connected. That for some of them, they really care about each other. They really want to do something really great here at the Olympics. In case you're not aware of how this tournament works, okay? So you can win games by either being the first to 21 or by being the top team after 10 minutes of play. And then when it comes to a pool play, each of the 8 teams play each other once. From that, the top 2 advance to the semis. Bottom 2 are donezo. The other 4 seeds 3 to 6 do compete in a play-in round, with the winners advancing to the semis. All right, so they want to be in that mix. They obviously want to be, probably avoiding that play-in round just to, for the vibes and for to avoid some of that stress. But I think they got a real shot. They got a real shot at medaling, and I'm excited to see some of their games. All right, so that's it. That's your preview. I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, I'll be here, as I said earlier, throughout the Olympic Games. Enjoy them. Have fun.